Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me today in this live webinar on natural treatments for depression. So, this is very important. It's important first to understand that, Ayurveda has a different view of this mental state or mental imbalance, we could say. And it's very different than the Western perspective. So we're not going to use clinical terms like manic or schizophrenia or bipolar. We're going to understand depression from the Ayurvedic perspective. And it's referring to your mind, Manavayu Sutra, the mind, the system of the mind. And of course, when the mind is depressed in Ayurveda, we call it excess tapaka kapha. It's we could say the white brain matter is too dense and too thick. And so the symptoms of this type of depression we're going to cover, the types of depression according to Ayurveda, home remedies that you can do and things that you can change with your life, and then of course herbal remedies. Now of course sometimes things in your life need to be resolved, but these home herbal remedies are completely safe and you can be taken for a long period of time and can help you to get through this transitionary period in your life. So if we think of the word depression, it means pressing down, depressing, pressing down. So this type of person generally feels, pressure, emptiness, hollowness, low self-esteem, low motivation, indecisiveness, kind of stuck, heavy, slow, and the heart rate tends to be slow, breathing tends to be hollow. And this is the type of kapha type of depression that we're talking about, where there's, it could lead ultimately to, complete inactivity, not making any effort, not going out, staying alone. And, it can become worse and worse and can even evolve into feelings of suicide. That is the type of depression we're going to talk about today. But in Ayurveda, there are three major types, and there's variations. So we have to simplify it for this class and to understand and to teach, we can simplify the condition. But it's important that there are many variations. For example, there's Vata type of depression, which can include anxiety, fear, and more swings in the motion, which would be under that category. We'd have more like, bipolar or schizophrenia or, mood swings, but there's depression involved and then there's mood swings. So that's a Vata type of depression. So there's Vata and Kapha elements involved there. We're not covering that, but in fact, the webinar I'm doing tomorrow called Natural Treatments for Unstable Mental States or mood imbalance. I forgot the name of it, but it's tomorrow. I mean, not tomorrow, next week. And that is covering this type of state where there's mental instability, and depression can be part of it. Anxiety and fear could be another part of it, but the key factor is it's moving. That's the Vata aspect. We're not covering that today. And then there's the Pitta type of depression. That's when there's a lot of like self-judgment, even anger at yourself, senses of failure, and can lead to more serious states of wanting to commit suicide or even to be violent. So it's a type of Pitta depression. Now, I've already given webinars and talks on managing anger, and that would have been covered under that talk. So you can see I'm giving a series of webinars on anxiety, anger, this one, depression, and then next week, mood swings and mood imbalances. So we're covering different types of mental states according to Ayurveda. And today we're focusing on Kapha type of depression. So just for educational purposes. Now, in fact, if you were treating a patient or I was treating a patient, the likelihood is they're not going to be such a simple case. There's going to be some Vata or Pitta elements, and there could even be both. So it could be anxiety, anger, and depression all together. So then, the person formulating the herbs has to change the herbs and maybe change the home remedies and even the diet accordingly. But today we're going to talk about the kapha type of depression. This is, again, I'll repeat, heavy, slow, sluggish, unmotivated, not wanting to go out, staying alone, not looking for a job, not, pursuing the opposite sex, not wanting to join in sports or be competitive, but, being in this kind of hollow, low motivated state, indecisive, feeling stuck in life. That's what we're talking about today. And this state of mind, we, of course, in Ayurveda, we have the three gunas, the three states of mind, the Sattvic state, where there's peace of mind, no thoughts, the meditative state, we could say. And then there's the Rajasic state, which, is action, motivation, drive, which, we all have in a modern world, to go get a job, to go find, a partner or a spouse in life, or to get a better job or compete in sports. That's all Rajasic. It's called Rajasic. It's the driven type of action-orientated person. Now that, of course, can become too aggressive and can lead to anger. Too much Rajasic quality can lead to anger and even violence. We're not talking about that today. We're talking about the tamasic quality, and that's where the tamasic quality is a grounding in a person, but when it's too much, the person feels unmotivated. And of course, there's the Sattvic state, the peaceful state, the Rajasic state of action, and there's the tamasic state, which is kind of balancing the action. So Ayurveda looks at the state of the mind, and this depression we're talking about is a tamasic state. So we could say kapha in the Pranavayu Sutra, in the mind system, and excess tapaka kapha. That is the quality of the mind that's by kapha. So from Ayurvedic perspective, we're balancing kapha here for sure, and we're increasing pitta, drive, motivation, and we're increasing vata, action, thinking, movement, and we're decreasing tapaka kapha and increasing sadaka kapha, which is the sharpness, the thinking, and pranavayu, which is the circulation and activity of the mind. Now we know the mind is also supported by the nervous system, Mejjavaya Sutra. So there's a connection between the nervous system and the mind. The nervous system kind of supports the mind. So treatments actually are often directed also towards the nervous system when you look at these treatments. So first, I'd like to cover some home remedies, and then we could talk about some dietary guidelines for this type of lethargic, unmotivated, depressed state of mind, tamasic state of mind. And home remedies are get moving and related to activities, sports, exercise, getting outside, dancing, sex, anything where there's a activity and movement and not being alone. Social activities, getting up early in the morning, walking, jogging, all of these are conducive to improving your mental state, and not, of course, being alone. And of course, even not eating, can give some sense of depression and weakness. So food can give us energy and can be stimulating, but we have to eat light foods. We can't have heavy foods. And because it's a tamasic state, which kind of means like dead, the tamasic is kind of a dead, not a state, we could say, to simplify it. So in Ayurveda, we don't have dead foods. We have to have light foods to balance the kapha, little stimulating to increase the vata, and a little hot to increase the pitta. So you don't want cold foods at all. No cold drinks, no cold water. And you don't want heavy foods. That's most animal protein, but definitely meats. Dairy is not considered tamasic, as far as like ghee is not considered tamasic. Lots of cheese is considered heavy and dense. So if you're heavy, dense, and overweight, like a kapha type person can have these qualities already, then dairy, cheese, pasta, meat, pizza, they're going to be all heavy foods that slow the person down. So you want lighter and more stimulating foods, and warm, even spicy, hot foods, Thai food, chili, hot pepper, things that, whoa, get you going, wake you up, so to speak, So you notice even some of the herbs are using peppers and hot spices to kind of open up the brain, get the circulation going, get the heart pumping. And you can also use even stimulants. A lot of times where I have a kapha type person, heavy, slow, dense, weight gaining, not active, sleeping too much, then I give them coffee. Coffee can be medicine for this type of person. I know many of my patients, you have anxiety, insomnia, and panic attacks and overthinking. And I emphasize over and over and over, you need to stop the coffee. But coffee can be medicine. There's no good and bad. This is a big problem people have when they look at food and they look at herbs. This herb's good. This food's bad. This is the best food for everybody. This is the best herb. No, if you know what you're doing and you know the patient and you know the herb or the food or the spice, then you can know that some foods can be medicine for some people and poison for another person. So for the kapha, they need stimulation. They need the heart going. So we generally give them at least green tea, stimulants, even ginseng, and we even use aphrodisiac herbs, because there's a gray line, or a fine line, I should say, between happy and horny. So aphrodisiacs get you stimulated, get you aroused, get you interested in the other sex. And that is definitely one way to help, particularly a young man, to help him get out of his state of depression, is encourage the pursuit of the opposite sex, to arouse his testosterone, we could say, and get him motivated to get out there to look for a girlfriend or a wife. And that can be a very motivating factor. And of course, questioning a patient is very important, understanding why they feel depressed and maybe making some recommendations of things that they could achieve, and give them goals is very, very important for a motivated person. I will say, an unmotivated person, but I will say yoga and relaxing is not effective in helping a person who's depressed. The action is too slow. That's good for somebody who's anxious and nervous and has more of a, vata in the head, overthinking. They need to calm down. They need to follow their breath. For the person who's depressed, doing slow yoga, maybe this vigorous yoga, this hot yoga would be good for a depressed person because it's stimulating. It's more like exercise. It's not real true hatha yoga. It's a, different style. It's more like exercising, and you're hot and you're sweaty. So that would be probably more conducive. But that's what you want, a hot, spicy food, hot, stimulating food, coffee, chocolate, all the things I told many people with anxiety not to have is what this depressed, overweight person needs: stimulation, and a bright color. So I wore red for you today. I know bright, stimulating colors, bright, happy music is very effective. I recommend people who would have some Bob Marley, Don't Worry, Be Happy, turn the music up loud, stimulate you. You need to drink your coffee, open all the windows. Darkness is counterindicated, and you want all the windows open. You want to be bright. You want to be in the sun, because even low vitamin D can, lead to more feelings of depression. So you want to be in the sun. You want to be exercising, moving, bright lights, and, maybe buzzing on coffee if that's necessary to get yourself going and get yourself moving. So I hope that gave you some ideas. And so the next treatment, of course, is herbal. And, people don't think of herbal remedies as something that, could get off of their medication or use as an alternative to their medication. But it's very easy for an herbalist to treat your state of mind. Now, it may not change. If you're anxious, herbs can calm you right down. If you're irritable, the herbs can cool you right down. If you're depressed, the herbs can stimulate you and lift you up. Now, if your life doesn't change, then, you could be somewhat, for lack of a better word, dependent on the herbs. But the herbs are just plants. They got vitamins and minerals in them, and they're not going to hurt you long term. There are herbs that are not made for long-term use, but most of these that are affecting your mind, are not. They're just, getting in your bloodstream, getting up to your mind, changing your mood a little bit, affecting your nervous system, and you can help you to get through this period in life. At least get you off the ground, get you going. Because once you get out, you get the job, you get the girlfriend, you're out doing dancing every weekend, you have a new sport, you have something to look forward to, then maybe you don't need the herbs anymore. But so the herbs can be like the booster that can get you off the ground. We can see under my testimonials on my website, I have, almost 400 testimonials, and they're all organized by health condition. But we can go to depression here. And here's one just talking about being irritable. Maybe in there they talked about depression too. This woman, it's a video recording. She's mentioning depression. But here's somebody here saying, thanks for balancing my mood. Maybe I gave her some oils, some teas, changed her diet. And then here's another one. My mood swings were decreased and the cravings have greatly dropped, so I can't tell what I gave these people here. They could have had a lot of herbs. But here's a person, I got off her antidepressant medication they've been taking for 11 years. So, and here's a person saying, this is probably the tea that I'm going to show you next, where they said lifted my mood. So you can see here that these herbs can really change your mood quite quickly. And then that gives you an opportunity, a window to, improve your life. Like I said, getting a hobby, getting more friends, getting a partner in life, and to get in sports or getting involved in dancing or something to keep you motivated. And even just a good job that's motivated for you will help you to then recover. So most of the time I give people with depression some goals. And often that can be just lose some weight or get a job or get a partner, things like that. So they have something to get up in the morning and focus on. I also encourage people to not eat foods that they don't like. And a lot of people are eating foods they don't like, particularly people who are overweight. That doesn't mean you just go eat donuts. You still have to eat healthy foods. But I do notice in my practice, a lot of people are eating foods every day they don't like because they think they're good. And often they're not really good for them. So, you could be fasting too much because you think it's good. And, you could lose some weight fasting, but this is not going to help your mood. Eating light is what you want to do. So you have the food and the nourishment without the heavy feeling, not fasting. And mushrooms are considered tamasic. They are a fungi, so you want to stay away from all mushrooms, red meat, and most animal protein, with the exception of ghee, and have more lighter foods, lighter vegetables, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, and even the nightshades. And salads and lighter beans and things like that don't feel heavy, but give you a nourishment, to give you energy. So as far as herbs go, we have many, many herbs to change your mood. And a lot of times we have to adjust the herbs accordingly. But this is probably our most popular formula that people buy. It was originally made for depression. So it still says on the label, helps to overcome mild depression. But it mentions anxiety and irritability because really it has herbs for all three conditions: depression, anxiety, and irritability. So it really does work with balancing the mood. I think in the beginning we did call it antidepressant formula or something like that. And then we just changed it to mood balancer. So here's three very wonderful herbs. Brahmi, which of course, if you're an Ayurvedic practitioner, you surely know, this is balancing vata in the mind. Vata should always be balanced. And it's almost a tridoshic herb anyway. And the premier herb for the mind. But in this particular case, we're focusing on vata. Jyotismati, and that's not Jyotismati, by the way, which is a more well-known nervine. This is Jyotismati, and it is uplifting, reducing kapha, particularly tapaka kapha in the brain, and is used for depression. See, VPK equal, that means it's balancing all three. Shankpushpi is relaxing, cooling, and good for pitta and irritability. So there's one herb for depression, one herb for anxiety, and one herb for irritability in equal amounts. it's been very effective, mostly for depression, but also for those with mood swings. And again, we do have a lot of other herbs that are good for mood swings. And some of these formulas, I'll use that formula mood balancer as a base. And then I may add other herbs to it. If the person is very vata and very anxious, I may add some Jyotismati, and I may add some more, even a little pitch of Tagar or something to it to help to balance the vata. And if it's a pitta, I may put some more cooling herbs like rose petals in there, and other things like that that would help cool the person down and help with irritability. So often I'll use that formula as a base, and then I'll add to it to adjust it for that individual. And of course, I'm more well known probably as an Ayurvedic doctor and pharmacist as per my registration, but I also have a lot of Western teas as well. And we have Western teas that are very nice and pleasant. So we have this one here, Happy Tea. And Happy Tea, by the way, it is available if you search for me on Etsy or on eBay, and it's sold on my public site there, herbmanteas.com. You can find it there, and links to the Etsy site where it can be often on sale. Those other products are not on this site. Now, this formula is based on the Western herb St. John's wort, which is been traditionally used for depression, but I don't really depend on it. I put in some peppermint, which is a little uplifting. I put in Brahmi again for the mind, even though it's an Indian herb. I put it in here. Motherwort, which is very good for the nervous system, and a Damiana. Damiana is an aphrodisiac and stimulating. And that was the last herb that I added to it because I felt that it was like helping with the mood swings, but it didn't have a lift to it enough to make you feel a little motivated. So I put this Damiana in it, which is an aphrodisiac, and it's also used for depression, and that's added. And then there's some cinnamon and black pepper. So that's the black pepper is also stimulating. When you have black pepper tea, your eyes open up, your brain opens up, circulation improves. So the cinnamon and the black pepper, just getting the circulation going and stimulating the mind. And sometimes for a young man or even somebody in a relationship with low libido, I may give them the male libido tea, and it is very stimulating. And it even says on there, warning, don't drink alone, very stimulating. And you can see the ashwagandha, gokshura, and there's the Damiana again. See, there's a lot more Damiana in this one than the other one. Also, it has horny goatweed and yohimbe, two strong aphrodisiacs held together by a little licorice. So sometimes I'll give that one out too. So, but often others in green tea, I have other tea called memory and energy tea, which is good for your circulation. It's got elethro, a type of adaptogen called Siberian ginseng. And then it's got green tea in it, Denrao organic green tea. So it's stimulating, getting the circulation going, getting the mind going. And that also is helping in this direction. It's usually this, let's say, 4-prong approach. One, change the diet, get rid of the heavy things and foods that really you don't like, and you're just doing it because you think it's good. And then 2, try to add some new activities to your life, like dancing, going out, sports, swimming, social activities, for lack of a better word, partying, socializing, get out there. Healthy activities, of course, and pursue goals like starting a business, getting a job, getting a partner. Goals are very, very important. And then finally, of course, taking some herbs to help you get going. And the 4th line of treatment is change something in your life. Something will have to change. You're in a state of feeling, stuck and heavy and unmotivated and indecisive, making some changes in your life. I cannot tell a person what changes to make, but more than likely something has to change in their life. So making some changes, eating different, taking the herbs, adding some new healthy lifestyle habits altogether. And it can be quite quick that people come out of this lethargic, unmotivated, depressive state, particularly if they land the job, making money. Now they're going out to dance. You don't want to get into alcohol. Alcohol is only going to increase the depression. And you don't, of course, want to get into a lot of recreational drugs. So you want a social activity. That's why I keep mentioning dancing. You're active, you're moving, you're seeing the opposite sex. It's physically, or any type of sport is good. That there's a little bit of competitive nature to it. So you need to pick up this type of hobby. Everybody should have some hobbies that they like to do. Mine, of course, is ranching and taking care of my garden and my animals. And I think it does keep me motivated, keeps me motivated to, fulfill this, and riding my horse. These are things that, are my goals. And when I'm achieving my goals, then this keeps me motivated. So goals are very important. So I hope that helped you. Hope that helped you understand the power of herbs, and that these herbal remedies can change your mind and change your mental state and help you to get out of this rut and move on quickly without having to go down that slippery slope of taking antidepressant medication, which I think for most people should be your goal to try to avoid. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I hope you learned. And of course, next week, I will be doing one on mood imbalances, and feel free to go back and find my other talks and webinars on other states of mind, including anxiety and anger. Thank you very much.